Tonight,
Globally, football is in trouble.
former FIFA Vice President Jack Warner,
They felt no Muslim should head FIFA. They felt that no small country should head FIFA.
a one-on-one interview,
If you could have a conversation with Sepp Blatter now, what would you tell him?
re-examining the rise
I never gave Obama that promise.
and the fall of the Caribbean's most famous face in football.
Not a single person has said to this day anything about the travesty that is a World Cup qualifying competition in CONCACAF. Nobody.
Mr. Jack Warner, welcome to ViewPoint.
Thank you very much.
Your entire life was football. Now you're serving a lifetime ban from football. What is life like for you without football?
Well, I didn't know it would have been so good as it is now. I find time for my family, for my friends. I do things I never did before. And more importantly, I don't have the same passion for football as I have now for even cricket. And I mean, of course, not test matches, but I mean IPL cricket and T20 and so on. So my life is still full. And when I look down and see what football has become today, both here and outside, I am happy that I am no longer in football.
What has football become?
Football has declined in ways unimaginable. In particular in Trinidad and Tobago, you can't call the name of any one national player. The professional league is a joke. Youth programs are a sham. Women football is a disaster. And the accounting procedures in football leave much to be desired.
Is that, Mr. Warner, because as opposed to your era, everything in Trinidad and Tobago football hinged on you?
Well, you could say that if you want to, but the fact is there were structures in place for football to continue. For example, under me, you had 5 stadia being built. You had several youth programs taking place both inside the country and outside. You had Caribbean football, which was of course, in those days, something people look up to. The Shell Caribbean Cup, for example, was one of the highlights of Caribbean football. You had stars from Trinidad going overseas to England and Europe and becoming professionals. You tell me, in the last 10 years, which player from this country has gone to play football in England or in Europe? Name one. You can't. And it's because people lack vision and because they put their ego first before the country. That's why we are where we are.
One of the visions for local football is the House of Football, the home of football that was built. Then it was closed. It was closed by the new William Wallace administration. What do you make of the closure?
Well, in the first case, that house should never have been built at this point in time. You can't build a house and owe people over $50 million. You can't build a house and football is in shambles. You can't build a house that has not even passed OSHA regulations. You can't build a house that several regulations have not been completed. It was just a show for Mr. Williams, for the FIFA, for CONCACAF, supported by the government and Dr. Rowley, in my view, hoping to embarrass Jack Warner in terms of saying, look what they have achieved and what he has failed to do, not bearing in mind that they have made football worse off today than it was before.
When you look at, you talk about the FIFA under Gianni Infantino. Infantino himself came to Trinidad and Tobago to open the House of Football. What do you make of his leadership at the helm of FIFA?
Up to now, it is, put it this way, in terms of past FIFA presidents, from Stanley Rose to Blatter to Havelange and these guys, he is a disaster. He doesn't seem to know what he's doing. And he believes that PR and threatening countries and overturning everything that was done before would be his legacy. That doesn't help football in the least. It does not. And then Infantino himself has his own problems now in Switzerland. So I'm saying that that globally, football is in trouble.
For everything that you and the FIFA had built when you were vice president, Sepp Blatter was president, and you say that those things are now being ripped apart and new things are being built. When you look back, what are your feelings on your tenure? You spent, 28 years at the FIFA? You spent 21 years at CONCACAF. What's it like for Jack Warner looking back now?
I look back with a certain amount of pride at the legacy I left. I left a youth program in this country and the Caribbean that has been unparalleled to date. I had a program that carried the smallest country in the world at the time to the biggest stage in the world, FIFA World Cup. I had a system whereby kings and presidents and so on would come to our shores, our door, to see what is being done. Remember, this was the country that Mandela flew 12 hours, took a plane for 12 hours to come to this country. Mandela came here to meet our people. So in a sense, therefore, everything that has been done in football under my time, I'm proud of it. The youth program, the women program, the coaching program. More persons were officials at FIFA tournaments than ever before. Our referees were world class. Our coaches were world class. What has happened today? Why have we regressed as it were, retrogressed as it were? Why have we?
Sepp Blatter, you would have had to work with him for decades. How is your relationship? Do you have a relationship with Sepp Blatter now?
I don't. And the reason why we are where we are is because I had told Mr. Blatter that it's time that he moves on and gives somebody else a chance. Albeit was a Muslim, but they felt no Muslim should head FIFA, bin Hammam. They felt that no small country should head FIFA. But I said to him that FIFA over the years has been going from Europe to South America, Europe to South America, and it's time to find somebody in between. He didn't like that, and he decided, of course, to kill the Caribbean Union, to kill me, to of course, not knowing that in doing so, he was killing himself. And that is today, that's why today he is where he is.
What about you as president of FIFA?
That was never my thought. I thought that I had reached the epitome of my period as vice president, the most senior vice president. I felt you need a country that had a rich football history, and ours, to me, wasn't rich enough. I felt also too, you need somebody who had a wider span of the football world, so to speak. My span was limited to the Caribbean, and that to me was not enough. So I never had any aspirations to be FIFA president. Do many persons felt so? The same way I never had any aspirations to be political leader of the UNC. Do many people felt so? They have, constantly mistaken my achievements to be my aspirations. They never were.
But Mr. Warner, you're downplaying yourself here. You had global influence in the position that you had global influence, and
oh, sure I had.
You had global influence.
Sure. That's why I could have walked into Obama's house and take a picture with Obama and walk through his entire house and have dinner with him, because President Obama felt he needed my support to get the American vote. That's why President Putin invited me to his palace to spend a week, because he too felt I needed his vote. That's why Mandela came here. I'm saying all of this to tell you that yes, I was powerful, yes, I had influence, but I never aspired to be the head of FIFA, never.
When you look back at the FIFA and that turbulent period which ultimately saw the hierarchy of FIFA dismantled, you have your own thoughts on that, as to why the United States of America did what it did.
Yeah, and it tells you the kind of country the US is. And anybody who believes that the US is a good country because they're powerful, I have news for them. In the fullness of time, they'll find out. When the US can't get what they want, they destroy, hoping to rebuild. And that's where we are. Look at their history. I'm not going to the politics, but if you're a young man, look at their history and see all over the world what they have destroyed, where they have destroyed it, what happened after. And with FIFA, it's no different.
So you spent some time with President Obama. You had dinner with President Obama. What went into those conversations? Did those conversations give President Obama and the United States of America the feeling that you would vote for them and they would have the 2022 not Olympic Games, but FIFA World Cup?
I never told that to President Obama. He asked me repeatedly, what are my views on the US? And I said to him, it is worth considering. The same thing I told Putin. It is worth considering. Our best friends were the English FA, and they came here also, and they asked me for help. I told them also it's worth considering. You see, in football politics, so to speak, you don't play a hand too early. When you play a hand too early, it means that you have killed yourself overnight. So therefore, I kept my options open and see what best I can get for my country in the process.
After that, you were charged by the U.S. Department of Justice with wire fraud, racketeering, and money laundering.
And I'm surprised there are not more charges, because the charges they have given me are the same charges they have given every enemy of theirs. They have given the same charges. You look around and you'll see, all over the world, people who have opposed them have been given those charges. And I will tell you this, Ryan, that I don't lose any sleep overnight over these charges. They're false, they're baseless. The whole world knows that these charges came as a result of they having lost the World Cup, and therefore, in the fullness of time, I shall be vindicated. It will be costly, and it has been costly, but in the fullness of time, I shall be vindicated.
So your extradition trial, you don't lose sleep over that?
Not for a minute. I swear to you, not for a minute. And I have one of the best lawyers in the country and the best in England, and I feel very sanguine, very optimistic that in the end, good shall prevail over evil.
When we come back,
if you could have a conversation with Sepp Blatter now, what would you tell him? I called you when Chuck Blazer passed away. You told me 2 words.
Yes.
No comment.
And even today, I say no comment, because if you can't say good about the dead, you shouldn't say bad.
If you could have a conversation with Sepp Blatter now, what would you tell him?
I tell him that my grandmother used to say that you have to be careful with the cow that gives a pail of milk and kick it down. And I would say to Blatter the same. He built football to be a powerhouse, but he destroyed it.
Evidence, in quotes, I will put evidence and allegations that the United States has brought forward in terms of wire fraud, in terms of racketeering, in terms of money laundering, not only for yourself, but other FIFA officials as well.
Yeah, sure. They have taken the whole executive. They have charged the whole executive, because this holier than thou America or USA, this holier than thou Justice Department in Europe, believe that everybody in the world is corrupt except them. Well, okay, let's see if they get to heaven first.
This action was taken under President Obama. It started under President Obama.
No, not Obama. It began, I shouldn't say not Obama, it began the last year of his...
It was under Obama.
Of his term. So that's correct, you are correct. But does it make a difference? Does it make a difference?
What do you think went wrong then? The fact that you think that you gave President Obama the feeling that they would get 2022 World Cup?
I said before, I say again, I never gave him that impression. I was president of CONCACAF. My head office was on the 14th floor in Trump Tower for 20 years. It was assumed that because I'm CONCACAF president, that because my office is in the US, that because Chuck Blazer, an American, my general secretary, that I will automatically go with the US. I never give that impression. My vote was going to the country that was able to assist Trinidad the most. That was that's nothing else. I couldn't care less what happened. Any country that could have helped my country the most, I would do that. And that's why Mandela came here, Mandela came here having a 12-and-a-half-hour flight, because I said to him, I want you to come to my country and meet my people and let young people see what a great man you are, who could have spent 27 years in prison, and you came out there, you are president, and you are not as bitter as people thought you would have been. So I brought him here to meet young people. He went to the Oval and did just that. He went to the Center of Excellence, had dinner, and did just that. And thank God at the time, the Prime Minister was Mr. Patrick Manning, whom if I had known about him then, as I know now, I would never have even fought with him in the first case. But the fact is, I never gave Obama that promise. Never did. And there's nobody alive or dead, well, not dead because they can't talk, but nobody alive who can say I give that promise.
Let's talk quickly about the Caribbean Football Union. A few months ago...
That existed? That doesn't exist anymore, When last did you hear anything about the Caribbean Football Union? Where is it? Who are the officers? When has had election? When has they had, of course, an audit? You guys have to ask these things in the media. How come overnight the union is dead? There is not a single thing about the union for the last 8 years.
And in that conversation that I alluded to, that you and I had, you said that the Caribbean that FIFA wanted the Caribbean Football Union dead. It wanted CONCACAF to be on its side. It really wanted to destroy Caribbean football in a big way. But you are making the point that this would not have started under Gianni Infantino. This would have started under Sepp Blatter.
It was Blatter. Blatter did that as a repercussion of what he assumed I did to him or wanted to do to him. Blatter took the whole Caribbean. My friend, Blatter took the whole Caribbean, flew the entire Caribbean to Istanbul to vote for the Caribbean Football Union, you know. That was the last election. That happened in 2013. He took the entire Caribbean Union, 28 countries, whom I helped to join in FIFA. And he took them not from the Caribbean, he carried them to Istanbul, right, to vote for members of the CFU. Now tell me in God's name. He paid all the expenses.
I asked that to ask you this. So what is the future, and how bleak then, through your eyes, through Jack Warner's eyes, is the future of Caribbean football in this present state that we've gotten ourselves in?
Until you get a new era of leaders who understand that Caribbean unity is the only alternative to CONCACAF dominance, then you will not get a change in the Caribbean Football Union. Let me tell you something. Look at the World Cup qualifying competition, which when we had an open draw, and Mexico would play Dominica, and the USA will play X, Y, and Z. You know what happened this present World Cup draw? Because the Trinidad and Tobago toward the USA from the last World Cup, they have made an elitist draw. They have taken 6 countries out, top countries, and the poorest countries are the ones who have to travel the most. And then if they qualify to play against them, nobody in the Caribbean said a single word. That couldn't happen in my time. It can't happen if even in Campbellville, who is dead, in his time. But it happened now. And what you hear, Trinidad and Tobago didn't say anything. What did Jamaica say? Nothing. What did Barbados say? Nothing. They have taken the office from Trinidad and put it in Barbados, and they pay them a few shillings, a few dollars more for them to feel good. And they believe that they must sell Caribbean football soul for that reason. It's wrong. Not a single person has said to this day anything about the travesty that is a World Cup qualifying competition in CONCACAF. Nobody. I'm sorry to be so agitated, but there's something, this travesty is something dear to my heart, because I changed that. I brought Caribbean football within the pale of CONCACAF football. And today to see that they have sold their soul for a few dollars more, it hurts.
Do you feel a little bit of guilt that you didn't build the next Jack Warner, of a leader among the Caribbean for post your career in football?
Well, I did. And one died, that is Captain Horace Burrell. He died a couple of years ago. And the other one, who was automatic almost, Colin Class from Guyana, they got rid of him. Blatter got rid of him. So he cut off the second man. He compromised with the first guy, who then died. And that's why we are where we are.
When we come back,
you believe that Trinidad and Tobago is in an extremely crucial year. It's an election year. In the twilight of your time at FIFA, you dived into Trinidad and Tobago politics. This was about roughly 13 years ago with the United National Congress. Which one is more brutal, FIFA politics or Trinidad and Tobago politics?
FIFA. Trinidad and Tobago has no politics. You have two parties that are like Tweedledum and Tweedledee. People don't know who to vote for actually. You have a large body of people here who are dissatisfied, don't know where to turn politically, and therefore if one is not a PNM, one is a UNC, or vice versa. That kind of politics doesn't help anybody. So that is not no real politics. The politics of FIFA, where you have to talk to 202 countries, where you have to intermingle with them, talk their language, sometimes even go to their country and integrate in their culture. That is politics. Yeah? When Putin calls me into Russia, a week after Obama calls me into the US, when of course the South African government would call me, and the Spanish government would call me, and each one of them want to get from me a certain position, and I have to to dance my way through. That is politics. Not this. This year, you're either a UNC, you're a PNM, or nobody.
You believe that Trinidad and Tobago is in an extremely crucial year. It's an election year. What makes this year so crucial in your mind?
It's bad because the economy is at its worst. Crime at its worst. The government of the day doesn't seem to know what it's doing. The opposition doesn't seem to want to win the election. And what is pathetic, we have shut down a company that had 6,000 workers, Petrotrin, and nobody says anything. Can you believe as a young man, if Mrs. Prasad Bisesa had even fired 100 oil workers, things would have been so quiet? No. But of course, the Warri government fired 6,000 workers overnight. When all the reports said to them, don't close it down, they fired 6,000 workers, not a drum was heard. And today we're paying a price for that. Oil, that the budget was put at $60 per barrel plus, is now $45 as of this morning and going down still. What will happen to this country in 3 months' time? If I were a young person in this country, and things continue to go as they are going, I would head up north. Not USA, Canada. Because I tell you something, every day in this country, it seems as if there's less and less hope. And until we get our act together, until there is some collective getting together of persons wanting change, we won't be better off. We have Tweedledum this 5 years and Tweedledee in the next 5 years. That doesn't help a country like ours.
Where do you stand in the 2020 general elections race then?
Between Tweedledum and Tweedledee. I stand between Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Why don't you, as a young man, sometimes you have to ask yourself, Singapore, a country of 3 million people, a country with no resources whatsoever. Look where they are today in every field of endeavor. We, a country of 1.3 million people, with more resources than any country this size. We, after 64 years, you had one party in government for 48 years. And after 48 years of one party in government, we are where we are. Ask yourself, why? Why it is that we as a country are where we are when we have been so blessed. We have our talent here. We have talent here that you can't even measure. The Brian Laris of this world and the Latter Peace and the Booksy Sharp and these guys. What happened today? Why is it we are where we are? And is it because everybody wants to believe that this is a place for only carnival and fun? Is that the reason because of our mentality? And I say this to you not in anger, but in frustration, because I can't see myself being aligned with people who don't seem to have any aspiration to go further. And this is painful, son. This is painful.
Just want to reflect on the long journey of your life. Mr. Warner, you...
And how to go longer still, eh?
You came from, as you put it, pretty much nothing, to become FIFA vice president. When you reflect, you're in your early 70s. When you look back on the entire journeys, and life in itself has its ebbs and flows, its peaks and troughs. When you look back, how do you reflect on yourself?
Let me put this for you. I have traveled to 176 countries for FIFA, some of them 2 and 3 times over. I have met kings and queens and presidents of all caliber. I have been able to interact with people from all culture, all languages. And this has given me a perspective on life that I would never have gotten otherwise. So you'll see me, so therefore I realize in the morning I can have tea with Putin, and in the afternoon I can have dinner with a vagrant. It doesn't change me. Even in politics, you understand that I would go to office at 4 in the morning. My first meeting with people before 4:30. I'll go till 11 o'clock, and I will do this for $1. Not for fame, but because I believe that I didn't come here to make money in the country. I came to make people happy, to change their way of life. Because I have come from a place, Rio Claro, poor. Go to school in Touch Road, poor. Londonville, poor. walk 6 miles to school from Longueville to Chaguans in Presbyterian College in the morning and 6 miles in the afternoon. I know about hardship and hard times, and therefore I can empathize with people at all levels. So in a sense, therefore, football has given me that understanding that I can move from A at one point to B in the other and be the same person.
What does Trinidad and Tobago lack then to make more citizens like yourself and to make more successful citizens? You were National Security Minister.
Yeah.
Our security and our crime problem continues well after your term.
But it was better in my time. If you remember clearly and check your archives, you realize that in the height of the crime season, I was able to get Laventil for 35 consecutive days. Not one shot was fired and not one body dropped. Ask yourself why. You'll see in my time also, ask any soldier in the regiment, ask any Coast Guard officer, ask any air guard. They'll tell you that, of course, that under me, they had the best days. Ask yourself why. I would go and eat with them. I would try to understand what their problems are. I would try and fix it. You go to the licensing office as Minister of Works and Transport. The head licensing officer doesn't have a fridge in his office, doesn't have a little ice box. So what did I do? I went to courts and I bought a fridge and put there, not because I wanted to show off, but I wanted him to understand that I am sorry for his suffering and this is my contribution to the office and so on. We do these things. And at the end of the day, I feel very happy that wherever I walk, wherever I go, whatever I do, people are still very positive about me. They shake my hand, they tell me thanks. They say, boy, Jack, come back now, boy, come back now, Jack. Jack, the country needs you. I say, the country needs me, yes. But the fact is, why the country needs me, I don't know if I need the country. Because this is a country this is a country that has no pity, you know. This is a country that has no pity. And anybody who wants to be serious and go into politics or anything else must understand you're going there, but don't expect anything in return.
Your reputation was pretty much destroyed. Your view of yourself, did that hurt you in any way?
Not at all. And I don't think my reputation has been destroyed. It might be destroyed in some quarters that don't matter to me in any event. But the people who matter to me, to them, my reputation remains strong and very valid.
We can't talk to you very personally
You
without
can.
without talking about your favorite song or one of your favorite songs. Frank Sinatra,
That's my way.
I did it my way.
And that has remained my mantra to this day. I did it my way. I do things my way. It may hurt some, it may please others, but at the end of the day, it's my way.
Mr. Jack Warner, thank you very much for being on ViewPoint. I really appreciate your time.
I'm sorry that this was so short. Must come again, man.
Thank you very much, Mr. Warner.